Communication Error.
Welcome to episode 65 of Communication Error, a gaming debate podcast where we may not always agree, but if we listen to what one another has to say, maybe we'll be able to fix our communication error. I'm one of your hosts, Cheesy, and the man who is literally just almost too famous to even do this podcast anymore, John Ebo. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I just got off a plane like not long ago. Well, I guess it's been.
Yeah, I hated saying that because it just like is going to inflate your ego even more.
I mean, I do feel famous. I do feel like a somebody now.
So you should tell us, like, what did you do over the weekend?
Yeah, so I guess I left on Sunday. So this is why the podcast is late, because it's not even that late. It's only like a few hours late.
But it's still Johnny's fault.
Yeah, we're recording like 2 days later than we usually do. And that's because I went on a trip out to New Mexico. I actually got flown out to New Mexico for an event sponsored by Mountain Dew. And it was for the Borderlands movie. It was called the Mountain Dew Borderlands Motel. It was kind of like it was just like a little, I don't know if you have block parties out there.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, it's just like a kind of like a block party. They made this motel in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They like put a bunch of like Borderlands themed things in there. And they had like Tiny Tina's room. They had Claptrap's room. They had a DJ. It was actually it was a cool setup. It was a nice little setup. And the whole event was free for the public. Like probably not the alcohol, but all the Mountain Dew products were free. They had free tacos. They had free popcorn because it was also in a collaboration with Regal.
Okay.
So that's what I went out there for. But man, let me tell you. So I've done sponsored videos before, right? I've done sponsored posts. I've gotten free games before, but I never experienced something like this, and it was so cool. And it was like I hope it's not the last time I ever do something like this. I don't think it will be, but if it is, it was still a really cool experience. Like, this wasn't an indie game providing you a copy because they don't have a budget. This was Mountain Dew money. So all the flights were paid for, the hotel rooms were paid for, dinner was paid for, and then we had like brunch. That was all paid for. And they gave us swag, which I probably should have brought down here, but it was like just a bunch of like random stuff, like a backpack, bunny ears for Tiny Tina, a hat. Like, this was a legit sponsored, like, this was an influencer trip.
Yeah, man. And you just, I don't know, you're making moves, you're doing it.
Yeah, so that was really cool. The whole experience was awesome. Like, I'm not going to forget it. There was like 7 or 8 other like creators there. But the interesting part was it was not all like it wasn't all influencers. So I was part of the influencer group, but then there was also somebody from Screen Rant there.
Oh, wow.
From like comicbook.com was another one. And then I forget what the other media outlet was, but it was like bleeding something.
Okay.
But so they were just like people that were writing articles about this event. And then there was the team, like the marketing team from Golan. That was the marketing firm. There was like 3 or 4 of them that were always around. And then there was like probably like 5 or 6 influencers. Like, it was me, then a few other influencers that weren't all gaming related or all movie related. Like, there was a cosplayer. There was, I was part of like the gaming side of it. I don't know if you know who Lamar Wilson is.
Yeah.
He does a lot of unboxings and stuff, and he worked, I know he did like Nintendo stuff in the past, and he was there. He was really cool to me. Like, we all got to meet each other. We went out to dinner together, and then we went out like to brunch. So we all got to know each other. Yeah. And it was a really cool experience. I learned a lot, and it made me like super motivated moving forward. So
That's awesome.
yeah, and I told the firm like, hey, I'd love to work with you again, and they said, yeah, sure, or they said, yeah, we'd love to work with you too. So
Cool.
and I reached out to like I'm trying. So I am socially awkward. I was like terrified to do this because
Well, I mean, but you're kind of leading up to it because you just were at too many games. So like
yeah,
maybe that was like kind of the baby steps of doing something that is on an even like bigger scale.
yeah, and I'm glad like the first night we went to dinner. I'm glad they took us to dinner because if we would have went right to the event, like the event was on Monday night, I got there Sunday during the day. So if had to wait until Monday night to meet these people, it would have been awful because I would just like been a fish out of water more so than I
Uh-huh.
was. But yeah, we got to meet each other. Like everybody was cool. They're all just nerds. They're all just nerds. Like Lamar Wilson's way bigger than my channel, and actually most of the people there were bigger than my channel. But like they were cool. They were just chill.
So did you get to like see the movie or anything like
No,
that?
no, no. So it was like a Mountain Dew event.
Uh-huh.
Like if it was primarily Regal, I would assume that they would have shown the movie. But I learned a
Okay.
lot of things about like the different brands and different like marketing tactics. Like so we went out to dinner, right? They had to choose a restaurant that only served Pepsi products.
Oh, because Mountain Dew is made by Pepsi.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
couldn't go to a restaurant. Not only, but the restaurant had to serve Pepsi products. You couldn't go to a restaurant with Coke. Like if it was only Coke, like
Uh-huh.
we couldn't go there because Pepsi's essentially paying for this all, so
Right.
they wouldn't want to pay for
Yeah.
the competitor's stuff. But I thought that was
Wow.
fascinating. I'm like that's weird. I mean, I get
Dog
it,
eat
but
dog
it's
world.
weird.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, for sure.
weird. And seeing that side of it was really interesting. It was a really good time. A really good time. I hope I get to do it again. I got paid to do it, so it's not like I did this. Like everything was covered. Plus, I got paid on top of it.
That's the dream right there.
So like, and the people that went out there, like this is what they do. That's like they are full-time creators. Like they have managers and stuff. So I asked them how they got a manager. So I'm hoping, I reached out to a company, and maybe I will have a manager soon. Wait until you hear my ego when I get a manager. Oh yeah,
God.
we can't
All right, well, that's-
talk to my manager about when we could do the podcast. All right.
Yeah, so we might as well just
Wait, I got
keep
one more
going with the
thing.
rest of the episode. What?
I got one more thing. Nintendo sent me something too, and that was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like
How did
that is the
happen?
dream. I don't care. I didn't get paid for this.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get paid for it, but they sent it to me. That's the dream.
For the audio listeners, what is it that you got?
Oh, I got the Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. Product provided by Nintendo.
So how did that happen? They just reached out to you?
They reached out to me. It was a whoever they use as their marketing team firm. It's like Village Media now or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I must have got on some list because I got the email for the Mountain Dew thing, the Nintendo thing, and then a Comic-Con thing, which fell through. I almost went to San Diego Comic-Con like this week too, but that fell through. I got those emails in like 1 week.
That's awesome. No,
So-
like honestly, genuinely happy for you because I know how hard you've been working at, building your name and your brand and for years, and I think it's all just kind of paying off.
Yeah, now I'm like super motivated to continue growing, to have more marketability. So I'm pumped. But yeah,
Well, do you want to continue with the rest of the episode?
sure.
Do some server maintenance, get into our topic. I know you've got places to be, so
Yeah, if I was going to Comic-Con, I would have to leave like now.
you also previewed a game, and I know
I'm
you
not
probably
allowed to
can't
talk about it.
it.
I'm not allowed to talk about it.
But just to add that onto the list, I guess.
Yeah.
Of
It's kind of cool.
things you've
Like
done.
it's kind of cool. Oh, maybe we'll do a. Well, I think we've already done an episode about like content creation.
Part 2,
But like,
because that's part of content creation, right? You got to have a part 2.
I remember the last thing about this. So, back years ago, before this podcast, before Nintendo Powercast, before TikTok, well, actually, I guess like right at when TikTok was starting, somebody they might listen to the show, whatever. It sticks in my brain, so I don't care. They said they pretty much chastised me, or they made fun of me for making TikToks at the time. And now here I am, like 4 years later, getting sent out. I worked with, I could say worked with Mountain Dew. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Because I made TikToks. So if you're out
Yep.
there listening, just make content. And it might happen.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to talk crap about you anyway, so you might as well just do what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, I'm nobody. I don't know anybody. I just made TikToks. And now, like, I got to work with Mountain Dew. That's so cool.
Yeah, and meet awesome people.
Yeah. I'm trying to build up a network. Like, I have high hopes for everything, including the show, which the way you can help us out is by, well, sharing with your friends, family, anybody who likes gaming, tell them about the show, but also leaving us 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify. We're up to 37 reviews on each, I think. I think they're like tied.
Nice.
You could leave a 5-star review like Cody Color did. I don't know if this is cheesy.
This is not me. Oh, come on, man. You just gave away my name.
Oh, my
care.
bad. I
People know.
doxed them. I think you said it before.
Yeah, people know my name is Cody. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you didn't, cheesy lore.
Now you do.
So it says review Johnny Bo and Cheese, which I think they meant cheesy, is fun to listen to. Their passion for games and disagreements are fun to listen to. Cody Keller.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for that 5-star review. That's awesome. Do appreciate it. It helps out a ton. So leave 5-star reviews. Subscribe to YouTube. I think we're at like 250 something subscribers. Get us up to 500, then we can monetize. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X. I think that's all the places. Oh, and follow us on Spotify. We did hit 100. We did hit 100 followers on Spotify. So thank you for that. That's really cool. Oh, and you can also answer. You can also just leave comments on the episodes on Spotify. There are things you could do on Spotify. I usually put a poll up every episode, so make sure you check out the poll, and you can leave comments directly on the episode.
And if you would like me to go to any kind of Mountain Dew events, you can follow me at on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Nintendo Powercast, CheezyC64, CheezyC64.
Yeah, and I'm John Ebo everywhere. Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, the Nintendo Powercast. You should definitely check out my Mountain Dew videos. Like, leave comments, share them, because I don't want them to like not work with me because my engagement was low. But I don't think that's how it works. But
I'm surprised you even said your name, because like, who doesn't know it by now?
yeah. Well,
Johnny, what are we talking about tonight?
We are talking about open world games, or open world versus linear games.
Mm-hmm.
And I will preface this by saying I did a little bit of research, and I actually saw a video about this. I forget who did it. It was a little while ago, but they did a video about open world games versus linear games, and they kind of got called out because they were talking about games that they thought were open world, but technically they're linear. Like you could have like an open world game with a linear story path.
Like, all right. I was wondering if we were going to talk about this or not, because I feel like it can go in many different directions.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the word open world game is used so often now. Like it's so common. Like every game's open world. Everything's open world now. But there are games that have a set path that you have to do in order to complete the game. There are games like Breath of the Wild where you don't. And that's like a true open world game. Because you can do it in any way you want. Like Grand Theft Auto is another one. Elden Ring is another one. You can just like do it in any order. There's no specific order that you have to do.
There's no specific order, but it still is. I guess it's not linear, but it's like they still want you to do all of those things no matter how you do them.
Yeah, but I mean, a linear is like you have to.
Yeah.
Like a linear, it would have like old Zelda games before Breath of the Wild are linear, right? You have to go to the forest. You have to go to the forest temple, and then you go to the water temple, or the fire temple, whatever. They're in order. You can't do. I mean, there are a couple that you could, like I think A Link Between Worlds. I think you can do in the original Zelda.
The original Zelda is basically Breath of the Wild before we had Breath of the Wild.
But the majority of Zelda games are linear.
Okay. So do you like playing open world or linear?
I like Breath of the Wild style, which is like you could go wherever you want, whenever you want, do whatever you want. There's no restrictions really. Just like your skill level or like maybe your character level if you're talking about games like Elden Ring. But I prefer that, not to have to do certain steps in order to complete something. That's why I get bored with a lot. That quickly makes me bored.
Right. And I was just thinking like how much you like roguelikes. Is that because in a way it's like you're not doing what they want you to do? You kind of are doing it at your own pace, at your own speed.
I think I like roguelikes because the path is usually always the same, especially for something like Hades. Like you're doing the same thing each run, but like unlocking stuff, unlocking abilities, and like powering up your character. That's what's interesting to me. Doing the same bosses over and over again is kind of boring. Like Hades, you fight the same 4 bosses. There's no really. There's no. I mean, there's a variation in the harpies or whatever they are. What are they called?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but like the difficulty does change. And are you talking about like when it does get harder? Like the more you add to the contract. See, I'm forgetting what it's called too, but the heat, yeah. You can. There's like more enemies that may spawn during that boss fight.
No, I'm talking about. So there's like Meg, and then like her sister is a different fight. And same with the Hydra. The Hydra has a different variation, but it's the same 4 bosses each time. That's not exciting to me. Because once I beat one of I like if I haven't beaten a boss yet, like doing it more than once, that's fine. But having to do the same bosses over and over and over again, like it kind of gets old after a while. But for like Elden Ring or, From Software games, what I like about that is like you could go through the whole game, beat all the bosses, and then like you could decide to restart the game. Well, not restart it, but just go into a new game plus where you could fight, all the same bosses over again.
Yeah.
But like a higher difficulty.
And do you do that? Do you fight the same boss?
I do. I have done multiple playthroughs of like Elden Ring and like Bloodborne. I played that so many times. I don't know what it is about those games, but they're just so satisfying. And it has nothing to do with. It has nothing to do. Well, Elden Ring, it plays like Breath of the Wild, which is like completely open. And that's what I like. It doesn't like. I don't have to go a certain way.
I guess like with games being linear, there's a reason why they are making you do certain things at
Because
certain
of story,
times.
and I don't care about story.
Okay, fine. Maybe it's the story, but also, is it structured better than open world games where they're just like, I don't know, the player just do whatever you want,
I mean,
versus something that's like Metroid, which I would say is a linear storyline. Yes, you can bounce around from different room to room, but you're eventually going to collect all the same power ups and defeat the end boss.
yeah, no, I mean, Metroid, I think it's Metroidvanias are a little bit different because there's backtracking, but it is a linear path. Like, you have to beat Kraid, you have to beat
Hmm.
Ridley, like before, or you have to beat like Kraid before you beat Ridley. You know, there's a path. Like, you
Hmm.
have to do things, and I mean, so I keep going back to Elden Ring, but it's because it's one of the most recent open world games I've been playing, and I
Hmm.
played the DLC, and the DLC's super hard. And what's really cool about Elden Ring and like open world games in general is if you are stuck on something, like you're banging your head against the boss, you could
Hmm.
just stop doing that and go somewhere else. I like that. Like,
Yeah.
being stuck at the same spot for a long time with no way around it is kind of,
Yeah.
that kills everything for me.
I think it's also kind of cool too. Like, you may approach that boss and then realize, oh, I should not be fighting this boss right now.
Yeah.
Like, you can, but also you need to go grind and defeat more enemies before you can, defeat that boss that you were struggling with.
Yeah, and I know we have well, I don't want to know. I don't know for sure, but the guest we have next week,
Hmm.
he plays Xenoblade a lot, and I think that those are open world games. At least 2 and 3 are. First one I think is more linear,
Okay.
and that one, like, I think you could. Well, there's a set story path, but then there's like an open world that you could just do other things in.
Yeah.
I don't really know, like, if that's considered linear or not.
I don't know. I mean, so like for me, I would say, I don't know, probably like the biggest open world game and like being technical about it that I have played is probably Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, except for, is Tears of the Kingdom?
Tears of the Kingdom is not linear
So yeah, okay.
as a war.
But you can't go and defeat Ganon right away, right?
I think you can.
Can you?
I think you technically can.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
know why
anyway,
you would want to.
yeah, those are the ones that I have played. But what I find fascinating about the conversation of like what is an open world game is like when I was younger, every game was an open world game to me. Like, I'm thinking
That's
of
ironic because there are back then there were like no open world games.
no, I know, but like just I think letting your imagination go in different places and maybe you weren't even playing like you weren't playing the way that it was supposed to be played, but you kind of did your own thing within the game. Like I could think about Super Mario Sunshine and doing that, uh, Spider-Man 2, where that was kind of my own Grand Theft Auto. And so, yeah, maybe there's things that kind of limit you from it being a open world game. But when you're younger, you just kind of feel like it is. Like everything is so much bigger than it actually was. I remember in Super Mario Sunshine, the like boat harbor level, and you have to like race
Riding
on
the squids.
the bloopers. Yeah, that area to me was huge. And now like as I'm older and I've replayed it, it's a really small level, but it just felt like a really fun playground.
Because I don't think we back then we didn't think about these things. Like, we were just kind of playing the
Yeah,
game for what it was.
yeah.
I remember, like, I played Super Ghouls and Ghosts so much, and Mega
Uh-huh.
Man X so
Yeah.
much. But I didn't think like, oh, this is just a linear. Well, actually, Mega Man, would that be considered open world? Because you could choose the. I mean, you have to beat all of the bosses, but you could choose in what order to beat them in.
I mean, I think technically we know what is open world and
Yeah.
what is a linear
So
experience, but I don't like to think of it under that lens.
I pulled up this article, and it gives a good like description of what an open world versus linear game is.
Did you do research just because of Thunderstash Gaming like showing us up last week?
No, well, I knew that like if I didn't say that open world games could have linear aspects,
Uh,
people might call me out on it. But so this says that its base, an open world game is a game where how and when you experience various events and encounter different NPCs isn't dictated by the game, but rather you and the choices you make. Some great examples of open world games are Skyrim, Genshin Impact, Breath of Wild, and Star Control. Surprised that they put Genshin Impact in here because that's just a Breath of Wild clone. And then it says, conversely, a linear story experience is more like reading a book. There's a specific order of events and encounters that build up a strong story with a beginning, middle, and end, and all happens at very deliberate times in order to elicit certain emotional responses. Some of my favorite story-based linear narrative games are Persona 5, Final Fantasy 9, and Resident Evil. Yeah, I mean, I think people do understand what an open world. When you hear open world, you know you could see like you could picture a game in your
yeah.
head, like um, like Grand Theft Auto is a big one that people always. But now, you know, when Grand Theft Auto came out, there weren't many open world games.
Yeah.
Like I think there's been like a big influx, like everything, like a lot of, first person stories are open world now. Like
Yeah.
the Jedi Survivor is open world, even though like Fallen Order is linear. Like you could throw a stone at a new game coming out, and it's probably open world.
What was the first open world game?
I don't know. There's no way to know.
Because like you were saying, it's probably Grand Theft Auto, but I wonder if that was.
It was probably
And
like some. Okay, the history of open world games can be traced back to the 1970s.
what?
Because I guess when you think about it, like the text-based computer games.
Like Oregon Trail?
No, I forget what it's called. I don't know.
Okay.
Something with F, I think. Floor. I don't know. They do say Legend of Zelda, so Legend of Zelda is probably the first one, honestly.
Yeah. That game
But
was amazing.
yeah, I just don't think it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. Like back in the 80s, 90s, it was like platformers. There's a platformer for like everything in RPGs. And I don't think the RPGs back then were open world like they are now. I'm just seeing what a lot of Grand Theft Autos in here.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like I played Bully on the Wii, and to me that was open world. I think if I remember correctly, I think Bully is linear, but it still was fun to like roam around the campus, and then you could go down to the pier, just go wherever you wanted, and kind of just create your own chaos.
Yeah, there's so many, like a lot of the modern games like Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption, Cyberpunk, No Man's Sky. Like a lot of modern games are open world. even like The Last of Us Part 2, that was a little bit more open than the first one, for sure.
Uh-huh.
Like there were areas of open worldness.
So do you think that people like open world more than linear? Is that
I
what
think
we are learning?
I don't know. It's hard. It's always hard to tell because on the internet, people are always complaining. Like if a game is linear, like people complain that it's
That
just
it's really short.
that's short. You know, it's gonna be a 10, 15 hour experience.
Yeah.
As we know, only 14% of people who start games actually finish them.
Yeah. On average.
I saw a tweet. I was gonna. I draft quote tweets so often, and then I just delete them because like
Why?
I don't want that heat. It's mainly Star Wars stuff now.
No,
because
I know you don't want the heat because you still haven't done the one chip yet.
uh,
Yeah.
I'm too famous
Have you
for
even
it now.
ordered it?
I'm too famous for it.
Oh, so you haven't even ordered it. Wow. Wow.
I mean, none of the new games actually came out yet, so I could still be good. They could all get delayed.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're waiting until next year?
But like people complain about like linear games being too short. Like I think people complained about God of War and I think like God of War 2018 or Ragnarok, people complained about them being too short. Same with Spider-Man 2, which is an open world game. People complained about it being too short. This is just tripping me up. I don't know because those games have linear stories. Like you have to do certain things to progress the story.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have like side quests.
Right.
So I don't get, is that open world? Or is that just like linear with side quest?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like when I was younger, I didn't necessarily have to do the things that they were telling me to do. Like I could go and just do my own thing. Maybe there weren't side quests, but I kind of made side quests for myself, or I got distracted and was just playing my own version of that game.
Because the only games that I know are like truly open world where there is no linear story is like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And I think Skyrim does it too.
And I think like the biggest complaint that I hear about open world games that after Breath of the Wild came out was that with open world games, most of the time there's like nothing to do. Like there's nothing around you. And I always thought that was like kind of the appeal of it being an open world game is that you have to go and find those things to interact with that make it fun. I understand like Breath of the Wild does a great job of like you're on your mission, you set a pin on your map and you're headed in that direction, but all of a sudden you see something off to the right and you're like, "Oh, wait, hold up. What is that?" And so you kind of go in that direction to see what it is. But yeah, the biggest complaint I hear is that most open world games just have nothing to do.
Yeah, or they're very, some of the games that I think. Do I talk bad about Ubisoft now? Am I allowed to, or am I going to get yelled at
I don't know.
by Ubisoft because I'm a rep?
I'm not going to be the one that's yelled at. So.
Not a rep. I'm what do they call it? Creator. I'm a creator. But I mean, I'm never gonna. If I ever become a Nintendo ambassador, which probably would never happen, but like if I ever do that, I'm not gonna censor my opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I hate when people do that. So Ubisoft, I think, has the issue of their open world games are too bloated. I think is the right word.
Oh, okay. Like there's too much to do.
Like they have a lot of stuff to do, but it's not fun to do it. Like Assassin's Creed, which I haven't played a couple of the more recent Assassin's Creed, but they would have like you would look at the map and there would be so many markers on the map. I think I like to call them checklists open world games because it's like, all right, you gotta do all the viewpoints, and you gotta do all the like listening in points, and you gotta do all the like the pickpocket points. There's just a checklist of what they want you to do, and that is not good design. It's just boring. Let me find these things on my own and let me do them by myself. Like let me discover these things. Like that was what was so great about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is like you could just the world looks empty. And I know that's a complaint of a lot of people, but the point is you're supposed to go find things like you said. And there's such cool stuff in those games to find.
Yeah, the sense of discovery.
Yeah. And they do such a good job with it. It's not like when you open the map for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, there's like nothing on it, right? You have the shrines and you have the towers. But other than that, like there's no like, all right, you found 30 feathers out of 100 feathers. Well, I guess there's the Koroks, but not all the Koroks show up on the map. And there's no like in Assassin's Creed, you could buy like treasure maps that unveils where everything's at on the map.
Yeah, wasn't that an issue with the New Horizons game too? That there were like just question marks all over the map?
Yeah, like a lot of open world games have that issue. Spider-Man's the same way. And yeah, they might have these like side quests and collectibles, but they're all the same thing. Like how many, I don't want to collect 50 backpacks. Or I remember like Assassin's Creed 2 is one of my favorite games ever, but if I would go back to it, I would probably hate it because there's a collectible in there. I think it was like 100 feathers in each city, maybe. And I remember getting 100% of those achievements, so I must have done it. It's just not good design. It's boring.
Does that help with linear games having kind of a collectathon to make it feel like it's open world? Because the first thing that comes to mind for me is like Banjo-Kazooie. Like those worlds
I would
to me,
think that's an open world game.
But it's not.
It is though. You could complete that in different ways.
You have
like
in what way?
Like you could go to different worlds at different times.
Yes, but like you can't just go to one world and get all the jiggies for like the last world. You have to go to different worlds in between to get all the pieces for that puzzle at the end. That makes sense to like go to that next level.
Yeah. No, I get it. This is where I'm confused. I don't know if it's linear. I guess probably is linear. But no, I think collectibles in linear games, they could be good if done right. Collectathons, they're never going to be I'm not a huge fan of them. Banjo-Kazooie, I think I enjoyed, but that was like, 20 years ago. Would I enjoy that now? Who knows? Because we'll never get a new one.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
But like games like take Mario, like 2D Marios, for example.
Well, hold on. Mario Odyssey is...
Odyssey, I think, is technically open.
It's also kind of a collectathon, which you were saying you don't like.
It is definitely a collectathon. The only thing I don't like is the very end, where it's not really... Coins? You're not finding stuff, you're just grinding for coins. That's not fun. But like finding the purple coins and all the actual hidden moons, like that was fun. And I think that's more open world than... Because you didn't have to do all the moons. Like you didn't... You could only... There was only certain things... I guess you had to go to each kingdom.
There's some moons...
This is what I'm confused. What is it?
you could just go to the store and buy like 10 moons. So you didn't even have to like go and find some of the moons that were on that level.
I guess it is a linear story, right? Because you have to, you start at the... Oh my God, I'm going to get ripped for not knowing the first kingdom. It's the,
Oh my God! Do you
it's
not
the
know
Cap
it's
Kingdom.
the Cap?
Cap Kingdom.
Wow.
And then you go to the
This is the
dinosaur
person,
one,
by the
whatever
way-
it's called.
No. This is the person, by the
I
way,
haven't
who's
played
always
it in 8
complaining
years.
that
I
they
haven't
want
played it in
a
8
new
years
Mario
because we
game.
haven't had a new Mario game in 8
They want
years.
a new Zelda game, but yet
Yes.
they don't even know what the kingdoms
I
are.
haven't played Mario Odyssey in like 8 years
Yeah, but it's all you talk about. So I feel like you would
because
know
I
it
need a
from-
new one.
front to
And
back.
like I think they forgot that people actually like 3D Mario.
yeah, they just forgot. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. So, have you played World Championships? Sorry, I just want to talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, sadly, I haven't yet. I've been really busy. Not as busy as you, but
I'm
like,
addicted, man.
I know I see you and everyone in the Nintendo Powercast Discord, which, by
I know
the way,
Flea. I know
go
Flea's
follow,
addicted.
go listen. Yeah. Yeah, I need to start it. I was thinking about doing that tonight. But
But
we're
this-
right now, Hannah and I are watching like the X-Men movies to prepare for Deadpool and Wolverine, and so we're kind of on a grind with that. But
This is not open world. I don't even know why I brought that up. But it's because it has a bunch of like collectibles in it. And but it doesn't have like it doesn't have a story. This was stupid. I just brought it up because I'm enjoying it.
No. But I guess to give it a point is with that game is kind of like what I was saying with older games. You kind of just would play the way that you wanted to play, and I think that is something that game probably does really well. Is just giving you different challenges to do that you wouldn't normally do in the original games.
Here's what I'll relate it back. Super Mario Bros. 3 is an open world game. It is. It is.
Because you can jump around.
You can jump around. You don't have to go from World 1 through World
but it's
8.
set on a linear path. Yeah,
But
you can jump around.
You could
but
also
it's
also do the
like-
levels in different order. Like there's a challenge in I beat the first world in 4 minutes. So first world of Super Mario Bros. 3. Because you could do like 3 of the levels and there's 8 levels in the world. I think it's open world.
I
You
think
could
like
argue with me in the comments.
a true please do. I think a true open world game would be kind of cool if like say all 4 of us from Nintendo Powercast bought the game and all 4 of us ended with a different boss at the end.
That'd be cool. I'm
Because
hoping
if you just have the one boss, then it's like kind of linear in that way,
I
right?
know,
Like you
I
were
don't-
always meant to get to the final boss.
Yeah, I know. I don't get it. Maybe people in the comments can explain this better than, and maybe Nishquick would know more, because
Yeah.
like if it's based on the story aspect of linear versus open world is based on the story aspect, then everything would be linear, right? Because
Yeah.
like you have to beat Ganon in Breath
Yeah.
of the Wild to beat the game.
Kind of. I mean, that's one of the things that annoys me about Breath of the Wild is even if you do beat Ganon, and maybe this is kind
They
of
do that. They do that all the time for Zelda games. They kick you back.
No, yeah, but it doesn't say that you like beat Ganon.
You get a star.
You get a star that says that I guess you beat the final boss, but it doesn't say like complete. Like that.
You had to
still
wait
is
5
on
years to get Tears of the Kingdom to see what happened. All right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If I put in Breath of the Wild, I still think it's gonna say that I need to complete that mission.
I think so. I went back to Zelda, the 3DS era. I think my first Zelda game back. Like I don't even know. Like I didn't play Zelda growing up. I was a weird kid, or maybe
I believe it.
Maybe my parents just. No, my parents got me a game like every Christmas and every birthday. So nothing against them, but the games they chose, all right, were not the typical games.
Okay.
Like I got Mario.
Yep.
And I got Kirby.
Yep.
But I didn't get Zelda. I didn't get Metroid. I didn't get like Star Fox. What else was big back then? I did get all the Donkey Kong games though. But I never played Zelda growing up. So my first Zelda was Wind Waker. And then I took a break until 3DS. And then I picked up A Link Between Worlds. I beat that game. And then it kicks you back to like the beginning or like right before the final boss fight or something. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? Like, I didn't remember that Zelda games, they just don't let you like beat the game. They don't let you be done with that game.
Yeah. Yeah. You were talking about like games that your parents would get you that weren't like the regular games. And honestly, let's be honest, some of those games are like the best memories that you have with gaming.
Oh yeah, Porky Pig's Adventure or Porky Pig's Nightmare.
Oh, you've talked about that before, yeah.
Yeah, Porky Pig's. I don't know, Dr. Frankenstein, Primal Rage. Have you ever played that game?
No.
It's a dinosaur fighting game. They need to bring it back.
So for me, just kind of going back into this conversation, Cars the video game, people, is so good. And I know that there's probably a lot of people that haven't played it. It's Cars, I get it. But it's like you get to explore Radiator Springs, what you see in the movie. You get to race, you get to design your own Lightning McQueen. And to me, like, that was open world. The fact that I got to drive around everywhere and just making my own little playground was open world to me.
I think that's what, I don't know. I'm so confused because when I think of a linear game, I think of a game that you can't really stray from the path, right?
Right.
Like it might have some collectibles, but there's no like area that you could just explore. Like just like Mario, like 2D Mario, that's linear.
The sake of the episode, we talked about what an open world game is, or looked up the definition. What is the definition of a linear?
I said it.
Did you? I wasn't listening because most of the time I don't listen to what you say. So,
a linear story experience is more like reading a book. There's a specific order of events and encounters that build up a strong story with a beginning, middle, and an end. It all happens at very deliberate times in order to elicit certain emotional responses. And I clicked on, I searched for A-list, or I searched for linear games. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of Final Fantasy games on this list. The God of War games, Uncharted. Yeah, so, like Uncharted, you would have missions where you would just, go from point A to point B and really nothing in between. Maybe you could find some like dog tags or something. But there's no real exploring. It's just, this is the way the game wants you to go.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't play Three Houses, but I know Fire Emblem typically is probably more linear, but I imagine Three Houses was...
Well, I guess Three Houses, I think Three Houses is still linear. It's just three different stories.
Oh, okay.
Because
so
you choose a house at the beginning of the game, and then that's the story you go with, and then like you could do another playthrough with the other house, and then other house. Super Metroid's on this list, by the way. So you're right. Metroid games are linear.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic. Yeah, 2D platformers, definitely linear.
The Sonic, though, went into open zone with, what was that called? Sonic Frontier.
Which I think is sort of what Mario Odyssey is. It has the open zone, open kingdom.
Uh-huh.
Like there is a story, a linear story, but then to get through that story, you could go at any pace you want.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's mostly like platform Tomb Raider games. Yeah, it's games that just like you go into like a hallway, and you can only go down that hallway.
Yeah, but the more we're talking about
from that hallway,
the more we're talking about it, though, the more I'm just thinking like it's a gimmick. it is just another way to get people to be like, oh, you don't like that it's set on a straight path? You don't like story? Here's this open world game where you can do whatever you want, but it still is connected to all the same story.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people have, or companies have tried to, I think there are too many open world games. Just looking at this list, the majority are like old for the linear games. Like the majority are old. So I haven't seen many new linear games on this list.
So
Because a lot of games are open world now.
yeah, I guess in your opinion, would you say that Grand Theft Auto kind of started that, and then from there we just have seen nothing? I won't say nothing, but there's obviously it's not all just open world games, but majority.
Yeah, I think yeah, Grand Theft Auto was a huge proponent of the open world explosion, essentially. Because games tried to emulate it, because it was so successful that and gamers wanted it too. Like gamers wanted more open games. Now it might be swinging back. People are saying, "Oh, I want smaller experiences or shorter experiences." Even though only 14% of people who start games beat them. I saw a tweet. This might not have to do with. Actually, no, it does have to do with this. I wonder if I saved the quote tweet I was gonna.
Oh yeah, you never said what that tweet was.
Yeah, hold on. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Okay.
I would happily pay $400 to $600 for longer video games at release. I think $2 to $3 per hour is far less than the federal minimum wage for a 100+ hour game, and devs deserve to make more. $400 for a game that most people are gonna play 10% of.
That was something that you wrote?
No, that's somebody else. This guy's name is Johnny Oates.
Johnny Oates?
Johnny Oates, yeah. I don't know what that is.
Sounds like a burner account.
But yeah, I mean, there's also this sentiment going around, like, are there any games that are actually worth $70? Can you imagine? So if this thing was implemented, like it charged based on the amount of hours, companies would they would just fill the games with such trash, like so much garbage, to just artificially inflate the playtime. And like, who decides what a 100-hour game is?
I mean, in a way, do you think that there are some games that are kind of doing that already with open world games, especially with side quests? Like, sure, there can be some really awesome side quests that you do and have a great payoff. I can think of a couple in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom that do that. That maybe take a long time to do, but it's like a really beautiful moment. Like Terrytown. Terrytown, I think, is a good example of that.
Yeah.
But there are some side quests that's just like fetch quests, really. And then it's like, okay, thanks.
I remember when I tried to play Final Fantasy 16, and there was like a side quest, and it was like, go get wood. And it was like there was a person on one side of town, and the person that had the wood was like 10 feet away. So I had to go get the wood from the person 10 feet away and bring it back. And that was the quest. That's why that game sucks. But I mean, yeah, there's definitely filler in a lot of it, because I think I forget if it was I think Thunderstash was even saying, or somebody was saying that games try to hit certain marks to like, it has to be a 30-hour game or a 40-hour game in order to justify the price, or like the marketing for it. People are going to be upset if it's less than a certain amount of hours. So yeah, companies are already artificially inflating their games
Yeah.
because
Because
I
that's
think
what the gamers want. The Thunderstash Gaming did talk about this. If you guys haven't listened to that episode yet, please go listen to it. It's really good. It's about, if shorter games are better than longer games. But I'm so
Bless you.
sorry. I tried to mute before I sneezed. But yeah, it's just about how gamers are asking for so much, and then the devs are like, okay, and then they put it in there, and then the gamers are like, well, there's too much now, and the devs are like, okay, like, what do you want us to do?
I can't wait to talk about the thing I did today. I can't yet.
Mm-hmm.
In about a week, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's promising, and I think I'm hoping companies are listening to players that, yeah, we want more to do, but we want it to be like clever, or not just clever, just like not fetch quests. We don't want just like fetch quests.
Mm-hmm.
But
You
we
want
also
some kind of payoff by doing it.
It's also hard to talk about this now because of what Thunderstash said about only 14% of people have beaten the games that they started.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely one of them. But I do Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, they hooked me so much. Like that game design is exactly what I want, where you could just do whatever you want. Like you could do shrines for a couple hours. You could find Koroks for a couple hours. You could do the main quest or not, just explore caves. Like you don't have to. There's no set thing that you have to do. There's no checklist that you have to do. I know there are story notes, and like there are quests that you're supposed to do to complete the main quest, but you don't have to.
Yeah, but I think there's also probably people. I mean, you're not going to please people either way, but I imagine there are some people that are like, well, what do I do? Like,
Yeah,
they're not
no,
being
exactly.
told what to do.
Exactly.
And so they might not like Breath of the Wild for that reason.
It must be a delicate balance of trying to design something for different types of players. Like I might like, I like those types of games, but you're right. Other people don't like those types of games. And you would think
Yeah, go ahead.
you would think with 30 million people that bought Breath of the Wild, that, yeah, there's definitely people. I know people don't like that game
Yeah.
because of how open it is, because of not knowing where to go, what to do.
Yeah. I'm going to take us on a side quest here for a second, but that is one of the arguments that people are having with Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, is that it is like Breath of the Wild, where you can complete the puzzle any way that you want. And some people don't like that about Zelda. They like when it is more linear and you have to kind of figure it out on your own. Like everybody has to, maybe it takes somebody longer to figure out the puzzle than the average person, but you still are going to figure out the puzzle the same way that everyone else did.
Yeah, and I saw that argument too, and I really enjoyed Tears of the Kingdom's design, that it could be solved multiple ways. Like, it's kind of boring to know that a puzzle only has one answer. And once you know that answer, it's like, oh, okay, I solved that puzzle now. Like, that's no longer fun to me. Like, if you want to do another playthrough, or a lot of the shrines in Breath of the Wild, they had similar puzzles. And it's like, oh, I already know this gimmick. I wish they would have done something else.
Yeah, but knowing you probably aren't going back to that puzzle and doing it a different way.
No, but I mean, there are like a lot of similar puzzles that I could try to figure out different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever like played a game or you started a game. I don't know if you ever, like, if you start a game and then you fall off it for a while and come back to it. You're like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to restart the game. Like redoing all those puzzles again is just kind of like it's boring. Like I thought, like Luigi's Mansion 2 puzzles are super boring, but that's probably because they're really easy.
I think that there is some enjoyment of playing a puzzle that you already know how to beat and doing it faster. Like that's where speedruns come in. Like I'm thinking of a Rubik's Cube. You know, once you know how to figure out a Rubik's Cube, you just mess it up again and then you do it. Like it's addictive.
That's what this is.
The World Championships.
Yeah, the World Championships. You're trying to get the fastest time. So there are ways. I guess actually that's an argument. Like you could beat these levels in different ways.
Really?
Yeah.
You beat them in different ways, but then everybody, like, once somebody figures out the fastest time, then that's the way that everybody's going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, they are essentially puzzles. Like once you figure it out, then you just the only thing you can do is try to get better times. I wish there was a way. I'm saying I play through a game multiple times, like I actually ever do that, but I don't. Mm-hmm. But like if a game that has puzzles and you want to play through it a second time, you should just be able to skip the puzzle. Be like, oh, I already did it. Like, why do I have to do it again?
If it's the
like,
sorry,
say,
I'm not.
Like, say you play, I don't know, Tomb Raider more than once.
Okay.
Those puzzles are exactly the same each time.
Yeah.
And the second time through, you should just be able to say, hey, I already beat this the first time through. Let me just skip it.
So then what are you doing the rest of the game?
So you're not doing the same part over again.
Which would be like the whole game. You're still going to be playing the same game.
Yeah, but there are parts in games where you're like, I don't want to do this again.
Okay.
Like the water temple.
Uh-huh. Just to be able to skip it. Once you've already beat it, you can just skip it.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to do it again.
That's interesting.
Or there should be there should be like game modes where it's kind of like New Game Plus, but like you could just decide which spots you don't want to do. Like if you really hate the water temple, just let me skip the water temple.
What if it was like a DVD menu where you could go back and like pick the chapter that you want?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, games do have chapter selects, but not typically open world games. Like a lot of linear games do have chapter select.
So I can only speak from just my experience. I haven't played too many quote unquote open world games. But I have played a lot of linear Nintendo games. And to me, that structure just works better. Maybe they are shorter games, but there's something that is rewarding, that knowing like each level, each world you visit, you're going to be powering up your character in some kind of way that is going to help you when it comes to the final boss. And I know you can do that with open world games. I get it. But there's also just maybe it's overwhelming. It's like when you go to the Cheesecake Factory and they give you that big menu.
That's why you don't order food at the Cheesecake Factory.
What do you mean?
You just get cheesecake. Their food's trash. The cheesecake's
it's
good.
Not that bad.
The food is trash.
It's not that bad.
Yep.
No.
They're the epitome of jack of all trades, master of none.
I had no idea you had this kind of hatred for the Cheesecake Factory. Hopefully they're not listening.
We'll never be sponsored by the Cheesecake Factory. I don't care. I don't wanna.
What sodas do they serve there?
Yeah, they serve Coke. That's why I'm talking. They told me to throw them under the bus. No, Cheesecake Factory's the worst. Their cheesecake's okay, but like their food, disgusting.
Okay. So it's just overwhelming, right? Like you just
Yeah,
don't
and then
know
you go,
what
you
you're supposed to do.
beeline to the cheesecake. Like a
Oh,
linear
okay, I see what
game.
you're saying.
Like a
Yeah,
linear game.
So you're eventually just gonna get to the cheesecake at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been playing Nintendo games my whole life, so yeah, of course I'm used to linear games, and I think linear games, like, I'm more inclined to beat a linear game because I will get sidetracked in these open world games, and then I don't know, then I would put it down for a while, and if I ever want to go back, like I want to go back to Jedi Survivor, but I don't know where I left off, and it's kind of hard. What game? Oh, Metroid Prime.
Yeah,
Which
weren't you
isn't-
playing that like pretty recently?
Yeah, it was, and I didn't know what I was doing. Like I didn't know where I was in the story, and I know that's not open world, but it's very hard to tell because there's no like mission select. I guess more modern games will have like your mission, so if like you could go to your main mission if worse comes to worse.
I think though we're already answering kind of our own question. Like that's the reason why the devs have put in all of these things on the map and all of these like question marks and things that you can go find, because in cases like this where you haven't played a game in a while and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do now. With these new games, it's just like, oh, go here.
Yeah. I mean, I still forget like what is going on in the game. But
Well,
at
but
least,
you don't care about the story, so who cares?
That's true. I don't care about the story. But you need to, play the story to get to the credits if you want to get to the credits, which I'm in that 14, I'm in the 86% that don't care about credits.
Ooh, math.
Yeah, I went the other way. So you 14% weirdos could have your credits all you want. But I don't know, it's hard. It's hard to tell what I prefer because Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are some of my favorite games ever. But so is Super Mario Brothers. Which, I beat a game.
What game?
Super Mario Brothers, the original.
Through the World Champions?
Yeah, through the World Championships because it's one of the.
Come on.
No,
that doesn't count.
it's literally one of the challenges is to beat the game.
Oh, to just beat the game?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Took me 8 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that a good time?
I got an A+ on it.
Oh, so not an S.
Not an S, yeah. I got an S. I got an S on every single Super Mario Bros. 3 level challenge because Super Mario Bros. 3 is the best game ever made. And of course, I'm going to spend the most time playing the best game ever made, doing those challenges, and proving that I'm not a joke. I'm not a poser.
That's debatable.
I'm not a poser.
Debatable.
What was the last game I played before this? Luigi's Mansion. That's linear.
Yeah, how do you feel about Luigi's Mansion? I don't think we've heard you talk about it before.
I fell asleep playing it.
No.
One before that, Paper Mario, linear.
Yep.
I think most Nintendo games are besides.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
Xenoblade?
shoot,
maybe?
Xenoblade, yeah, Xenoblade's open, yeah. I would say that one's open. But yeah, everything other than Zelda.
What was the... I mean, we'll wrap it up here soon, but like, what was the argument with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? Because people were saying it was open world, but then they were saying, no, it's actually linear. But you could go, maybe because... Well...
No, I would say that's
confused.
open. I would say it's open because you could do. You don't have to do. I don't think you have to do all three of the stories.
No, I think it's just the gym battles.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But I think what people were saying is like you could go to a gym and then get your butt kicked because you're not going to be.
Yeah, you're not at the right level.
You need to. Right, but isn't that the same as like From Software?
Yeah, it's the same thing, but it's Pokemon, so it's a baby. It's a baby game.
So baby, open world.
Yeah, it's definitely. Oh, I think Scarlet and Violet is open world. There's no doubt about that.
I don't think it is.
There's no doubt about it. You could do the gyms in any order. You could do the bases in any order. Not sure about the dog. I think you have to do that one in specific
Wouldn't it be
order.
open world if you could go? This is what the argument was: is if you could go to any gym that you wanted, and it would.
You can.
But it would match to the
No,
level
that's just
that you were
that's
at.
a different thing. That's a level scaling. Yeah, I wish they had level scaling, but they don't. But you
that
could
would
go. You could go to any gym that you wanted. Like you could.
Uh-huh.
You could have grinded out. You could have grinded out. Leveled up your Pokemon like crazy. Went to the final gym with a team that were the correct level, and then go back to the first gym and just like smoke those Pokemon because they're level 5. I actually think I did do a gym out of order, like out of their technical order.
Yeah, I know I did.
So yeah, that's open. It's open because you could go wherever you want. There's no limit. The only place you can't go to right away is the place in the middle. No, so I'm not spoiling it. 3 years after release. Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, I don't know which is better. I don't think there's an answer. Well, all of our stuff is subjective.
Yeah. But also, like, can you call it an open world game if, like, you do reach the end of the game, like the end of the world, like there's the invisible wall? You know what I mean? Like, no game is going to be open world. Don't roll your eyes. I mean, like, it's true. It's true. It's not really open world.
Well, I mean, technically, that would mean you would have to leave the virtual world and like go out in the real world, and
yeah, that's the open world.
That's a lie. You're wrong because No Man's Sky is like open galaxy or open universe. You can go wherever you want. You could leave planets. There's like 1 billion planets in that game. That's true open universe.
Is that the best game to do it?
I think so.
Well, our listeners will let us know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which is better. I think open world games are getting oversaturated and overbloated.
Mm-hmm.
And linear games are too short. Mario Wonder.
I think it is just a gimmick, and we don't actually know what open world means.
We don't.
Yeah.